Hey everybody. So yeah, I'm still working, moving stuff from the ThreeJS service into the animation service, and it's going well. This kind of thing that like people tend to try to like. There's a really like if you just try to move all of it all at once and not in small iterations, you end up like something breaks, and then you end up having to undo everything and start all over again. And when you make it in a bunch of small iterations, something breaks, but then it's like easy to find. Um, you just literally just keep rolling back commit by commit by commit until you get it, till you find whatever broke. Uh, and but it's something that has to be done pretty regularly. These things are constantly changing in these applications, and that's what you do if you want to keep them maintainable. There is always a point in an application where it's sort of you can really foresee the end of its life, and you're like, okay, there's no reason to do this upgrade or this maintenance because it's only going to be around for another year or two, and you should be good. But if you want to keep an application around for like if it's around for 2 years and you don't upgrade it and you don't like sort of do maintenance that's like just for the sake of making it keeping it maintainable, after a couple of years with active development, it'll really just start to be almost impossible to maintain anymore. um, and it's always very frustrating for management, because they don't really get anything for that work. You're just um, they don't have anything to kind of show the people that they report to. They don't have anything to show them as accomplishments, um, and um, and it's just one of those things where like if you don't maintain your car, then what happens is it runs the same. You miss an oil change at 10,000 miles, no big deal, and then next thing you know, when you're at 80,000 miles and all you've been doing is topping off the oil, now you're leaking oil in people's driveways and all that, and there's really no going back. Um, once it's kind of ruined, it's ruined, and it's very difficult to ever go back. And code is a very similar way. But anyways, so all I did was move this clock uh, from the ThreeJS service into the animation service. Um, and then I also did, I'm going to hit this next button. Next. So I also set, kind of went over and said, okay, this animation pairs function I would like to move next. Um, and then let's see, let's go next. This was me just updating the clock. What's really funny though about that is when you look at this animation pairs, I'm going to end up having to make these back to this again, because once it gets moved into the animation pairs or into the animation, then it's no longer in animation service. It's in this. It's in itself. Um, so that's kind of one of the par for the course. Basically, everything else was just updating the location. I think for now, these two changes that I'm making, that I'm going to make in the after this video is over, this guy and the one before it, and this guy, moving these two functions over, is probably going to be the end of my animation services updates for this iteration. Um, and that's because I think that okay, so then I'll be done with animations for the moment for this route, and then what'll happen is the next thing. And then I'm gonna do the upgrade to upgrade this to Angular 18, and then I'm gonna start with meshes, and then in meshes I'm going to do two things. One, I want to add the angle, um, so I can control the angle that a mesh is in, and then two, like, so let me just go ahead and add a mesh. So I can change what angle this mesh is sitting at, and then make that animated as well. And then number two, there's a kind of mesh, I believe, that is a font mesh where you can put letters. So I could have like some letters across there. And So that I think is going to be the next big iteration, will be to add those two. And then when that's done, I'm going to move the meshes into their own meshes service. And then after that, I'm going to do similar things with, I don't think was there anything in camera? I don't think there was anything else in camera I wanted to animate. So I will then uh, probably move anything camera stuff into their own service. And then lights, I'm going to want to add a new light. I think there's like a light that is like you pointed at things, a spotlight. I'll probably add that light to it and then animate some aspects of it. Um, and then I would also like to animate in meshes, animate the width and the height and the radius, of these things. And actually, the width, height, radius, that'll be interesting. That is going to be a nice little wrinkle. Um, and then, but along the way, there'll probably be the upgrade to Angular 19. And then once I'm, and so then I'll put the scene into its own service. And then at that point is pretty what I think is going to be the most critical thing to the long-term success of this application. It'll take it to a whole new level, is to be able to import and export. And I want to be able to import and export to JSON and to CSV. I think once I can import and export, especially to CSV, then I'll be able to like open Excel and like add hundreds of different meshes and things like that. And that is going to be a pretty big task. When I was talking yesterday about eclipses, or I was watching my video about eclipses, I think it was 4 or 5 days ago's video. It's the one I uploaded today in real time. I always like to watch those before I upload them. When I was talking about eclipses, and I was thinking, oh, I bet you I could do a really cool sunrise. And I think this is cool. And I think what would be really cool is if I had like letters here, and then as the sun came up, because there's a light that's coming up that's staying right with this thing. As that came up, there would be shadowing that you'd be able to see. And then, the shadowing would go away. And I think that could be really cool. There is actually two lights. There's one above, and it's like at the one position and kind of towards the camera, 3. I'm going to move that to like towards like 30, so we can see what happens when you don't have that at all. See, you just don't see anything, and then when the sun comes up, and that is kind of cool. And maybe if I animated it and it had to go along with it, that would be better. Because that is technically closer, I think, to an actual sunrise. I think the sun might need to start a little lower if I'm going to do it that way, and then, yeah. But yeah, let me pause this. So it's all black, and then the sun starts to come up, and then when we're here, we got light, and then like that. And so if I move the light back to where it was, which I believe was 3, then that's like pretty unrealistic, I think, at the beginning. And then as it comes up, I think it's pretty good right here. I think it's okay. It's kind of like the moon or something is lighting up the ground, and then the sun comes up, and it kind of yellows things out a little bit. And then I think that's pretty cool. But anyways, like I said, next is to remove these last couple of straggler methods in there. Oh, and then oh yeah, once I've gone all the way through and I'm back to animations again, I think then it'll probably be pretty straightforward um, to move the last pieces, this like this animation callback and these things out of here. I think once everything's been like to me the hard part about that is like I'm going after this cameras and all that. I'm gonna have to find this lights. I'm gonna have to find another way to do that when the lights goes out. So whatever I choose as a way I'm gonna sort of reference lights, it would probably make a lot more sense to do that um, when I'm working on lights as opposed to right now when I'm working on cameras or animations. I think I could put myself into a weird place if I go that way. But let's see. Let me turn this back on. Let's find a good spot. Actually, I'm going to pause that, and that's a nice spot. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.